Welcome to Live, Laugh and Learn with Mary podcast. Come on in, the one podcast where we live, inspire, forgive and empower. Real stories, real growth, real light to share. Real stories, real growth, real light to share.
Welcome to another episode on Live, Laugh, and Learn with yours truly. I am super excited to bring to you all today with a special guest. I have Miss Lindsay Cassada. If you can share a little bit about who you are, what organization you are part of.
Good afternoon. As you said, hi, I am Lindsay Cassada with Chesterfield County. We are here in our Domestic and Sexual Violence Resource Center, where we provide services to survivors of intimate partner sexual violence and stalking.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I know that this is a great topic that we need to discuss with everything that is going on in our state alone and the nation.
Yes, ma'am. It's sadly, it takes national coverage to bring things that are happening every day throughout the day here, like you said, locally, state, and nationally. Folks have asked if we see an increase, and honestly, we see so much of it day in and day out. It's unfortunate that it has happened to those who are more in the public eye, but at least it brings awareness.
No, absolutely. And I just want to thank you for taking the time out your busy schedule to be on the show to discuss this. As a domestic violence survivor, for me, what is domestic violence and sexual violence?
Sure. I would say it's a pattern of abusive behaviors, which could be physically, sexually, emotionally, different varieties of behaviors that are used by one individual to assert or maintain power and control over another, and that would be in the context of an intimate partner relationship. So some of those behaviors are going to be criminal, and some of those are not going to be criminal. But it's a pattern used by those to exert power and control over others.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. Because I believe some of us, we have a misconception about what domestic violence is. And the stipulation, or is there an exemption to domestic violence? So can anyone experience this no matter who they are, or are there exceptions?
Absolutely. It knows no bounds. It can happen to men, women, different age ranges, different cultures, different ethnicities, just across the board. Those who are highly educated, those who may not have completed school. It can happen to anyone, really. So I would say there aren't really exceptions. We see the cycle of abuse when you look at, and this isn't present with everybody, but the cycle of violence you will start to see where those who have been raised in abusive households may grow up to become perpetrators of violence or victims of violence. Growing up, you think what's happening around you is normal, and so as children are forming impressions and developing relationships, they may not be developing those healthy skills to move forward in healthy relationships. So when you mention exemptions, I would say, maybe those who have grown up in violent households or emotionally unhealthy households are more prone to become victims or abusers, but certainly nobody is exempt.
No, I like the fact that you broke it down, because if we do not tackle this on a elementary level with our children, then of course they can become how they have repeat offenders, because this is what they see and this is what they feel as though is normal, and it's normal to them, but it's not normal when we speak of, domestic violence, but it's what they see every day. I always say that you never know what someone goes through behind their four walls.
Oh, gosh, no. And you will hear, oh, he or she is just the nicest person. There's no way. Absolutely, there's a way. We're not in people's homes. We don't always
Absolutely.
see those sides.
No.
And, as national news has shown us, someone that you may not necessarily think could perpetrate violence can. And really anyone can fall victim to it as well.
No, absolutely. I agree with that. And I like that you mentioned there's no exception because men can face it too. So, according to hotline.org, it said women ages 18 to 24, 25 to 34 generally experience highest rate of intimate partner violence. That's over one person in three women, and that's 35% of the women. And then you have 1 in 4 men, which is 28% in the U.S., have experienced rape, physical violence, stalking by an intimate partner in their lifetime. So if we are a parent, let's just say if we are a parent with someone in this age group, how should we handle this vital statistic?
hmm If it's okay with you, I'd actually like to broaden it beyond parent to
Okay.
parent, friend. If you are a confidant or close to someone in that age group, I think a lot of us are problem solvers,
Yes.
and we like, someone comes to us with a scenario, and it's easy to fall into the trap of, well, you should, blah, blah, blah.
Absolutely.
And so the number one thing I would say, if you're close with someone that is in that age group, refrain from giving advice. Because, how many of us truly want that advice? When you're starting to hear that you should, a lot of people just shut down.
Absolutely.
So I would say acknowledge the situation. I hear you. This must be really difficult for what you're going through. How can I help? Ask that person what they're seeking, what can be helpful to them. They may not want a solution. They may not be, or a potential solution. They may not be in a place where they can even process what could be next. It may be the first time that they're speaking out about it, and simply doing so is huge. So being supportive, listening without listening to speak. Just listen, hear what they have to say. Withholding judgment, because it can be so embarrassing, so humiliating, and simply listening to this person without judgment, without pressure to immediately do something. Well, what are you going to do about this? They may not know what they're going to do about it. They may not know if they yet want to do anything about it. Expressing concern for safety of all the parties.
Absolutely.
Even though there may be a perpetrator, we don't know if that perpetrator is also suicidal. And so really expressing concern for the safety of everyone in this situation. I'm concerned about you. I'm concerned about your children. I'm even concerned about this other person if they're exhibiting signs that they could be suicidal and or suicidal homicidal. If the person is at a point where they're seeking help, they're asking, helping them to develop a safety plan, which can sound like a big, what's the safety plan? What do we do? But really that could be breaking it down into simple things of picture explosive incidents that have happened before.
Okay.
And if that is likely to happen again, let's see if we can think of a safe way for you to exit that. What room are you going to try to stay out of or get to? Stay out of the kitchen. Stay out of the bathroom. You don't want places where there could be weapons or hard surfaces. Just basic things to increase their safety. This is a tough one, but honoring their decisions, even if you would disagree.
Yes.
There may be, yes, there may be so many reasons. Well, they're just not ready. And that's okay. If they're not ready, we don't want to pressure somebody to leave, make a drastic life change, and then they go back and their risk is much, much higher. So honoring their decision, even if you disagree. Um, avoid speaking badly of the abuser. That's another tough one. Yeah, sometimes saying nothing is better than, because somewhere in there that other person, they may still love them. That very well may be part of why they're still with them, even though that from the outside looking in seems strange. You start bashing this other person, and they may not come to you next time to share. So, yeah, and encouraging victims to participate in things away from that abuser. As you probably know, it can be very isolating to be in an abusive relationship.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is often intentional. The abusers want to isolate them. But if there's a way to draw them back into a social community, even if it's just in small ways, activities outside of the relationship, and sharing resource information, hey, I might not have all the answers, or I might not have any of the answers, but I it's heartfelt, and I'm glad you came to me. I'm glad you've trusted me with this. Let me help you find some resources for folks who work in this field, and if they want it. Again, we don't want to be pushing you should reach out to these people, but if they want to, helping them see who they can reach out to.
Absolutely. I really do appreciate how you broke every scenario down. When it comes down to, if you're an outsider and you see that someone is experiencing, they're in a toxic relationship, or they may be experiencing domestic violence, it is easy for you to say, hey, you need to get out of this, without really first evaluating every scenario, who's all involved, as well as they are still tied to this particular person. They still have feelings for this person. So it's easy for us to pass that judgment without first analyzing all scenarios. And as you stated, that person may not come back to you again. And that's something you're going to have to live with if something does happen, because they did come to you, but because you could not set aside how you felt about it to be there as a listening ear, something, did occur. So I really do appreciate that. With everything that you discussed when it pertains to how we can approach and help someone that may be going through this, with you being the coordinator of the Domestic and Sexual Violence Resource Center of Chesterfield County, Virginia, what are some resources that you can offer or share with someone?
Sure. Here in our office, we offer advocacy services and we offer clinical services. So broken down, what that means is we have a clinician who is a licensed professional counselor who provides support groups or group experiences, as well as individual counseling. She works with folks who may solely want individual counseling, may solely want group, or may want to be involved in both. I should say everything we do is free, is confidential, and so there shouldn't be the financial barriers or do you accept insurance, anything like that. Everything we do is free. From an advocacy side of things, safety planning, speaking with folks about how they can increase their safety. We certainly have clients who come to us and say, I'm not in a position to leave this relationship, but what can I do to increase my safety while I'm still in it, or increase my mental health as I navigate this relationship that I'm not able to exit. We provide civil court accompaniment for protective order assistance. So we have two advocate case managers who are providing, I would say, all of the protective order assistance to those in Chesterfield County who are seeking protective orders due to an intimate partner violence relationship, stalking, sexual violence. And so they do an enormous amount of protective order work from the civil legal advocacy side of things. Okay. If we can't do it in this office, we want to try to refer folks to those who can. There are other providers out there who may have specialties in underserved populations, and perhaps that person may find some better culturally appropriate resources there. We want to make sure we're connecting to those organizations. If it is, seeking legal assistance, we want to refer to a legal aid organization. Our referrals and our resources are going to depend on the situation and what the person is seeking. Sadly, we receive a lot of calls, a lot of requests for housing assistance, and there aren't transitional housing units for those in domestic violence situations. And as you know, our economy is becoming increasingly difficult as far as to survive.
Yes, it's
sole
very
income.
challenging. Yes.
It is, and that is, I would say, one of, if not the main reason that folks are having difficulties leaving is just the cost of living.
Wow.
And at the end of the day, if somebody is going to be leaving a relationship, they're either going to have to be able to rely on friends and family or long-term be self-sustaining to be able to have employment, pay for child care, pay for the apartment, pay for the rental, pay for the house, all the things. So we're doing what we can to work with folks through that. And we're small but mighty. We have this great big name. We're a resource center, but there's only 4 of us. So for all of Chesterfield County, we certainly have our hands full.
I'm sure you do. And you all, even though it's 4 of you all, you're still making an impact to be able to educate and to assist any way that you can on your level. And, it's really hard to hear that, some people are still in these situations because of the way the economy is today and not being able to survive outside of, what they are used to having as far as financial, because we do know that can be a great impact as well. So with this, trying to be proactive, let's just say we're trying to be proactive so we don't encounter any more, domestic violence or sexual violence. How can someone be proactive in their relationship beforehand? Are there certain traits that we may overlook or we should pay attention to?
I would say as early as possible, we should be teaching our young people to be financially stable as best as possible. Learn a trade, learn a skill, find something that you can do to support yourself. Because, this is certainly important for domestic violence, but even in relationships where a spouse passes away unexpectedly and someone finds themselves in a financial pickle. So I would say as early as possible, teaching our young people to be financially self-sufficient. Also, their self-worth. I am worthy. I do not need to rely on someone. Codependency can be learned and can be unlearned.
Amen.
So, learning I can stand on my own 2 feet, and in fact, at some point in my life, I'm probably going to have to stand on my own 2 feet, whether it's myself solely or myself and my children.
Come on.
So I would say being proactive, I would say from the beginning, teaching our young people, look out for yourself and be able to take care of yourself. As far as proactive in relationships, we hear the term red flags and looking for red flags.
Of course.
Love bombing. My goodness. If somebody is coming on as the most charming person in the world and they're flooding with gifts and attention and kindness, and that isn't always a bad thing, but that is certainly a trait when you're looking at those who want to be or come off on, they're manipulating. They're showing, I am the most perfect, wonderful person in this world. So, charming's okay. Overly charming, there may be something going on there.
Alarming.
Yes, yes. Narcissism, someone who is really looking out for their needs, their wishes. What do they want to do all the time? Are they at all concerned with what you want to do, with, how you want to see things progress, or is it always about them?
Mhm.
Extreme jealousy. Oh, I just love you so much. I want to spend every minute with you. I know you want to see your friends, but don't you just want to be with me? Starting that isolation leading to jealousy of, friends and family and anyone who isn't that person. Um, Lacking accountability. It's okay to say, I messed up. I'm sorry. We all make mistakes, every
Absolutely.
single one of us. And, they may be small, they may be large, but someone who cannot accept accountability for even the small things, that's a red flag.
Absolutely.
Um, uh, Prior relationships, is there a string of it was always that other person? Just and really some of these things come out with longevity, so not rushing into this
Taking your
relationship
time.
because of the love bombing and everything's
Mhm.
perfect, and
Absolutely. Or you
so
don't want to be
yeah.
alone.
Right,
Yes.
right. So someone who, unfortunately, some folks, they just don't want to be alone and they're looking for the next person, and that can lead to maybe some bad decisions in who that next person is.
Absolutely. I really do appreciate you taking the time out your busy schedule to join me today to talk about this crucial topic. Before I let you go, Ms. Cassada, are you on social media, or is there a website that someone, if they are looking to find out more information, how can they learn more information?
Sure. And I wouldn't say we're on social media exactly, but our website for our resource center here, we are on chesterfield.gov. And so if you're direct typing, it's chesterfield.gov/DSVRC for Domestic and Sexual Violence Resource Center. A lot of the things we have chatted about today are there on the website. Um, and so that can direct folks to our office. It can tell about our services. It also just has very basic information for someone who may be wanting to learn more about these types of relationships. Just over my career, can't say how many times folks would say, they meet someone else and go, oh my gosh, are we with the same person? Just because the characteristics are so similar. And we'll start reading on, some narcissistic behaviors and say, oh my gosh, this book was written about my
Mhm.
person.
Mhm.
So a lot of that type of information is on our website.
Okay. Well, thank you so much again for joining me. Thank you all for listening. To find out more information about what Miss Casada do, please
Thank you
visit.
for listening to Live, Laugh, and Learn with Mary. Please subscribe to stay updated and share with someone you know could benefit from this podcast. For products and services